Hey guys, it's Hayden. So what is sync? Sync is pretty much the process when your song gets in a TV show, movie, video game, stuff like that. And a lot of artists want naturally their music to land in those kind of mediums. Not only will it bring in, obviously more money, but obviously more publicity. And it's also just like a generally really cool thing to have, like your song in a movie or something like that. It's generally like freaking awesome. Imagine watching a movie and then hearing your song inside of that movie. So generally speaking, it is kind of a tricky process. However, of course, not impossible. And in this video, I'll be going over how you can kind of get closer to that. This is how you can do that. Whenever you're releasing music, please start thinking kind of more long term. So a lot of artists, whenever they're starting out, they might use samples of the internet without even knowing this. Maybe they just, their producer doesn't even know this, but they use samples that come from, different songs. And for people that don't know, this is a tricky kind of process because if you want to use like a sample from a different song, well, you need permission from the owner of that song to use that sample. And a lot of artists, when they're small and they want to, sample like a big song, they think sometimes like, oh, I don't really need to do that because, my song will probably get like 10,000 streams max. But if you want your song to land in sync and stuff like that, you got to start thinking a bit long term, and it's maybe time to, start clearing your music. Because rest assured, even if you sample from a big artist and stuff like that, rest assured, maybe not, I don't want to give it any guarantees, but you can get in contact with, their publishers. If they like the song or whatever, if they like the project you're working on, they will clear it, so allow it to, get released by you, and then you can go from there. So it's really not worth it, guys, if you want to release music that isn't cleared, because it's just not thinking long term. Like, you will get into, I don't want to say a lot of trouble. It is kind of like illegal, but like a lot of publishers know that artists, when they start out, they don't clear their songs beforehand. And honestly, a lot of publishers actually like that because that, gives them a basis for a higher percentage from the song, because they can, pretty much threaten that artist and say, well, you released this song illegally, so we gotta have like 100% of the publishing side. It will only serve you good when you think long term when it comes to music and stuff like that. And also, when getting sync placements, this is not really about whether your song is like good or stuff like that. It's a different kind of zone in the industry. Whenever people are using music to, use in their TV shows, movies, ads, video games, and stuff like that, they look for like mood, usability, and stuff like that. So don't be too hard on yourself if your song doesn't get, chosen for sync, because as you guys can imagine, it is, like a tricky kind of situation, because the people aren't judging your song whether it's good or not. They're judging it if it fits into, whatever kind of project they're making. And, you don't really have any control over that. So don't be too hard on yourself. Getting sync placement's not impossible, but it's also not an easy thing to do, as you can kind of probably imagine. And make sure to also have the stems of your song. So if you don't know what stems are, it's basically like each individual track. The person that, made your song, helped you make it, your producer, audio engineer, they probably have those stems, because most of the time what can actually happen is, a person that wants to use your song in an advert or something, they will want those like stems from your song. Whenever you hear like music played in movies and stuff like that, it's very rarely just like copy and paste. Most of the time, what the like people working on that project, they, select individual stems, make the song, be structured a little bit differently. So make sure to have proper registration, have a good mix and master, and make sure to keep your stems of the song. So finally, here are some couple of ways of how you can, get closer to getting a sync placement. So you can use sync agencies like, for example, Music Gateway. They're very good and pretty open to the general public. All you have to do is just like submit your song in there and stuff like that. You can use publishers. If you have your music registered for, publishing royalties, your publishers can help you with that, depending on if that's something you guys talked about previously. And also, a very secret kind of underrated thing is communities. A lot of people don't know that on like platforms on school and stuff like that. I'll have the link down in the description down below. You can actually join a community, and there's people that specialize into helping your song get placed in sync. They have like, a challenge that if your song doesn't get placed in sync in 90 days, they'll like refund you your money. So, I mean, that's a pretty good deal. And if that's something you're interested in, I definitely suggest you check out all of those communities and stuff like that. I don't know, it's kind of like an unpopular opinion, but it's getting a lot harder to, get sync placements, because of the rise of like, music in AI. Most of the time now, when it comes to like TV shows, it's just easier to, generate a specific kind of soundtrack using AI. And a lot of big companies like to use that. So I think the best thing you can do is just make sure you make classic good music, because that kind of music that's classic and just awesome will always outperform, AI music and stuff like that. So you guys, hopefully this video helped you out just a little bit. If you want your music to get placed in sync and stuff like that, you can actually use SoundMind, our community down below. I'll link it down in the description, and we can, get you placed in, TV shows, movies, and stuff like that. We can submit your music in there. And if you want to promote your music, you can also use Moshpit Media. I will link it down to the description down below. And inside of your campaigns there, we also, pitch you for sync. So there's an opportunity for you to land some sync placements in there too. So if you're interested, check it out in the description down below. That's been it for this video, guys. Thank you.